Am I the idiot for telling my daughter the truth about why I wasn't in her life? To start, my ex and I were 19 when she got pregnant. We had recently broken up and she found out a couple weeks later that she was pregnant. She said she planned to get an abortion but only wanted her sister there. So I was always under the belief that she had aborted. She only contacted me once saying it was done, and we didn't speak again. Fast forward 19 years later, I found out a month ago that was a lie. My ex passed away 3 years ago, and my daughter Kara has been living with her uncle. He was the one to reach out to give me a heads up after she expressed an interest in wanting us to connect. He and I spoke at length because I was feeling some pretty strong emotions like rage for never being told about her. My ex had backed out of the abortion but didn't want me involved because we were broken up, so decided just not to tell me. But he told me that Kara doesn't know about that. Apparently I wasn't ready for fatherhood because we were both young, so I bailed. I couldn't believe it. Rob, her uncle, told me he knows his sister was wrong for that but promised Kara doesn't have any negative feelings towards me, and my ex never painted me as some villain, just a young guy who knew he couldn't properly care for her. He asked me not to tell Kara this when we talk if she asks, and because it could hurt the way she saw her mom. I never actually confirmed I would. Kara messaged me and we've been talking. I've met her twice and it's been crazy emotional. Looking at this girl who looks just like me and hurting that we're just barely getting to know each other so far. Our conversations have only been about what her life was like, how my life is, what her wants/future goals are, and getting to know each other. We met again Tuesday and she finally decided to ask the obvious questions about what made me not be involved. How did I feel, what went through my mind, did I ever think about her, etc. I had been thinking about what to do, but at that moment I just didn't have it in me to lie, so I was honest. That I was told about the abortion, had no idea she even existed until now, but that I still really want to be in her life and have the chance to be her father if she wants that. Kara was a bit emotional. We talked some more, and said she still wants me involved. That night my messages were blowing up. Not just from Rob but her grandparents as well. They're all outraged for telling Kara about her mom because she yelled at all of them and is refusing to even take their calls. Yes, the lie was terrible, but I just ruined the image she had of her late mother for my own benefit. Rob called me a selfish prick for not taking into consideration how this would affect Kara finding out about this. So right now I feel like poop. I get. Honesty is the best policy. But in this case I don't know if I was an idiot for doing it. I'm still learning this whole dad business, so don't know if I dropped the ball here. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Your ex lied, your ex created this mess. I'm sorry she passed, but she did this. You have no obligation to continue a lie you had no part of. Your daughter deserved the truth. Comment 2. Wow. It's a clear everyone sucks here. Your ex was terrible for lying to you. But in no way should any person be told. Your mom almost aborted you. She can't even confront her mom about it. You could have been vague and said, I didn't know about you. And I'm not judging your ex for considering abortion. At 19, that I wouldn't have thought about it myself. But once a child is born you don't tell them they could have been aborted. It's unnecessarily cruel. I know someone who was told this by their stepmother. It's in no way okay. Now for the update. I made this post a couple months back and I wanted to share what's been going on. This was a really big mess and thank you for all your reassurance. For telling me that Kara deserved to know the truth. There was still some guilt I carried with me for days until she called me again now that she had time to process. Kara thanked me for being honest about what happened and we had a deep conversation about what she's going through. She and her mom always had a very strained relationship even until she passed away, so there was still a lot of anger and resentment she never got to have closure for. Now learning this new lie her mom told her about me, well, it opened a lot of other mixed feelings. She has been in therapy even before her mother died to deal with their issues, so Kara is working this out with someone, which I am happy to know. Many of you were suggesting therapy for her, so at least she already had that down. My daughter's still mad at her family. She talked to them a couple times before stopping communication. Kara knows she'll forgive them eventually. But for right now, she says she wants them to live with the consequences, so hasn't had any contact with them. I did express my concern over her shutting them out, but she says it's not forever. She's still trying to process this betrayal and get to a place where she'll accept them back into her life. At the moment she's still living with her friend and wants to keep things that way. So far I have declined any financial help I offer. She just wants to work out her anger and let them sit with this for a while. I had to do some blocking still for my own peace of mind. Things are a work in progress, but I'm happy to report that we're getting along fine. Kara's been over so many times and has met my fiancé. We're learning so much about each other, even if sometimes it's hard not to get emotional over childhood memories. She talks about knowing I couldn't be there for them. Still in the process of finding a therapist myself because this has been pretty heavy on me too, and still have no idea what the hell I'm doing as a parent. Thanks for your words of encouragement, and all the advice from fellow parents. I kept getting asked for an update on this, so sorry it took me a while to remember to post something. Comment 1. Good luck, mate. Don't focus on what you missed in her life. Just make sure you give her the best of yourself for the future. You sound like an awesome dad already. You both deserve some happiness. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Carol was owed the truth about what happened. Her mother's family is only upset that they got caught out in participating in a damaging, hurtful lie. They don't care about how Kara feels about her mother, but only that she knows they willingly lied to her. You are a good dad to build the relationship slowly and let it be based on honesty. If you had lied and Kara found out, she would have huge issues with trusting anyone again. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for insisting that my brother and his girlfriend not wear gross clothes in my car? I, 28F, have a very sensitive nose. I can't do perfume. I tell guys not to wear cologne on a date. I can't be around cigarette or pot smoke, or I start gagging. My whole family knows this and for the most part are very supportive. This weekend, my brother, 24M, called me up at 2 a.m. because he and his girlfriend, 22F, had missed the last train out of the city because they met up with some people at a bar and wound up going back to their place for a bit. He asked me to come get him. My apartment is 40 minutes outside the city and our parents, who he lives with, are about an hour away. I told him to get an Uber because if they reeked of alcohol, cigarettes, and weed, I didn't want them in my car. He said it would be too expensive, promised they didn't smell, and begged me to come. I told him that as long as they didn't smell, I would come get him, but that I was prepared to leave him if he did. I got to the address about an hour later. They came out and it was clear they were both drunk. My brother went to hug me and I could immediately smell weed on him. I started retching, told him it wasn't going to work, and to call Uber. We showered! There's no way you're smelling anything. It's all in your head, he said to me. Apparently their solution was to shower in these people's apartment, thinking that would get rid of the tobacco and weed smell on their clothes. I told them to call an Uber and got back into my car. He banged on the window. I told him that he wasn't getting in my car like that. I told him I'd give him half the money for an Uber, and I was leaving. He told me to just roll the windows down. I told him that I didn't want it in my car. He said, I showered. These are the only clothes I have. I can't ride home naked. That gave me an idea. I opened my trunk, grabbed 2 blankets and 2 trash bags. I told them to put their clothes in the bags and cover up with the blankets. His girlfriend handed it back and said, fuck that. I'll walk. And walked away. My brother told me I was out of my mind, and it was all in my head. I reached in my wallet, pulled out $50 and said to call Uber. He handed it back, told me to hold up, and ran after his girlfriend. They came back and he asked if they could sit in the back with the windows open. I told him I wouldn't be able to stand it for an hour. So they begrudgingly stripped, put their clothes in the bags, and I tied them off and threw them in the trunk. I drove them to our parents' house in silence, and dropped them off without a thank you. My brother's girlfriend unfriended me on Facebook. He and she are not speaking, and my mom is furious with me saying that I embarrassed them and I was being overly sensitive. She says I should have called her so she could have gotten them. My mom goes to bed at 9, so I don't think she would have been thrilled. I feel bad that I put that condition on it, but I would not have been able to tolerate being in my car otherwise. Edit. I'd been asked to add some info into my post that I answered in the comments. My reaction to smell is very extreme. I retch, I gag, I throw up, my eyes water, my stomach churns. I get migraines, my heart races, I get chills that make everything else worse. I could not have driven home with that stench in my car. We would not have been safe. Everyone who is voting that I'm the idiot seems to think I forced this girl to take off her clothes to punish or humiliate her. There is no part of me that enjoyed asking my brother to give up his clothes to get in my car. I had no smile on my face, and I apologized to them for being so sensitive to smell. I pushed for Uber. I even offered to cover most of it. It would have been $65 for them to get home. They didn't want to get in an Uber when they were in that condition. I was embarrassed to ask them to strip, but there was not a way for me to make it an hour with them in the car in those clothes. I did not tell them to get naked. I told them to put their clothes in the bag. They went behind the car. I had my back to them and was keeping my distance. My brother handed me the bags and I tied them up and threw them in the trunk without inspecting them. The blankets were a good size, so all you could really see is that both were barefoot and had removed their shirts and pants. I do not know if they left their underwear on or were naked under there. Any intimate bits were covered. Now for a few comments before the update. Pressuring your brother's drunk girlfriend to strip off and get into your car when she already made it clear she wasn't comfortable with it was a pretty crappy thing for both you and your brother to do, TBH. I'm not at all surprised she unfriended you and isn't speaking to your brother, and you trying to play the victim here because she didn't thank you is not a great look. Everyone sucks here. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. them for not making good choices. But TBH, you sound like a lot. I also have sensory issues, and sometimes you just have to be an adult and try to just deal with it. I gag daily, sometimes for no reason at all. Changing my child's diapers is a nightmare. But the world is not going to cater to your needs. Best to get used to that. Now for the update. So, my brother's girlfriend texted me that she wanted to meet up to drop off the blanket to me. When I dropped them off, I grabbed the bags out of my trunk and handed them to them. I did not ask for the blankets back as I didn't know if they had anything on underneath, and I really just wanted to go to bed. By this point it was like 4:30 a.m. She came over to my apartment, joked about if she had to undress to come inside, and handed me back my blanket. She said it was very soft and comfortable, and she apologized for not giving it back that night, but she was kinda buck naked underneath it. She actually washed it in unscented detergent. She thanked me for coming to get them the other night, apologized for freaking out, and explained a few things. My brother had told her the trains ran all night. He wanted to stay with these friends of his and she couldn't stand the smell in there. She had called several friends, none of whom were willing to come get her at 2 a.m. He claimed our mother didn't keep her phone on that late, which is why he called me. He kept insisting that I'd never let them in the car and they should just stay there. I think he called me there just so I would refuse and they could stay there. She's the one who suggested they shower so it wouldn't be so bad for me. I guess she didn't realize how bad my issues were. Since my brother lives with our parents, she thinks he wants some alone time with her since they almost never get to spend overnights together. She didn't even realize that I suggested they strip. When I handed her the blanket and the bag, I didn't hear my brother say to her, "Let's just stay here." She thought I was giving her a blanket to sleep, and that's when she stormed off. When she was walking away, she took us all off Facebook because she was done with my brother. She added me back. When he caught up, he suggested again that they just stay there. He told her that I had told her the only way they could ride was if they stripped off their clothes and went home in blankets. She told him, "I feel gross, I want my bed. I don't care at this point. Let's just go." When they came back, he suggested the windows were rolled down. When I refused, she started undressing, so he went along with it. As for why they didn't call Uber, he didn't want to and she didn't want to ride and went alone drunk for an hour. Miraculously, she's not done with my brother. She's pissed at him for lying to her and stranding her without a ride back, but she is going over there tomorrow to talk. She loves the butthead, as she put it. She's made him a lot more focused and she's been good for him, so I'm happy that she's sticking with him for now. I feel a lot better after talking to her. Comment 1. Your brother is really manipulative. Like, this is not okay at all. He put you and her into very uncomfortable situations. I don't care how good she is for him, I hope she walks away. Then the original poster responded with, "If I were her, I would have." I'm not thrilled with him right now. However, I know how devastated he's been and I know he's been promising to be honest and open with her and be a better person. I hope he lives up to it. Comment 2. Happy this worked out for you. I'm sorry to say that I'm not so happy that she's taking your brother back, however. This doesn't seem like a good match for her. Hopefully she has enough support in her life and your brother learns to act better in the future. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.